Hey folks, this is the last of the Game of Thrones videos I'll be doing until next year. Well, unless something else Thrones-related strikes my interest. If Winds of Winter comes out before the start of the next season, I'll definitely do a review of that. Since this video caps off the whole 6th season, there are extra spoilers in this one, so beware of that. Right away, the first thing that struck me about this episode was how different the tone was. A lot of episodes are very bombastic and high energy, and even this episode ends that way, but in the beginning, there was a somberness that really set it apart from the other episodes. The music sounded more serious and mellow and sad. It reminded me of the scene in Star Trek Into Darkness when there's a father visiting his kid in the hospital. J.J. Abrams said he wanted the music in that scene to not sound like the score of a science fiction movie. He wanted it to have a very different feel to it, and I think that's what they were going for with the music in the first few scenes of this episode. The first few shots are of people getting dressed that morning, and in one of the behind-the-scenes videos that you can find on YouTube, Dan and Dave mentioned that they wanted to show these folks just going about their day as though it's going to be like any other day, not knowing how monumental and traumatic it will end up being. I thought that maybe Cersei was going to blow up the whole city instead of just the Sept of Baelor, but I doubt they'd let her or Tommen be in charge if they went that far. Also, there would be no throne for her to sit on if she did that. I suppose she can somewhat spin the destruction of the Sept as ridding the city of fanatics or something. There were plenty of good reasons to want the faith militant out of the picture. Speaking of Tommen, we knew he was probably going to die because of the prophecy about Cersei's children, and a lot of folks thought that Marjorie would kill him after she got pregnant and didn't need him anymore, or that Daenerys or the Sand Snakes would get to him, but I actually suspected that Cersei herself would kill him. I knew it wasn't going to be as straightforward as being killed by one of his enemies or competitors. The show is too clever for that. He was a liability to Cersei, and I half expected the Mountain to kill him when he stopped Tommen from going to the trial. Though that would kind of contradict what Jaime said about the ferocity with which Cersei protects her children. As much as I'm glad that the High Sparrow has been taken care of, I was kind of sad to see Marjorie go. It's a good thing that Olenna Tyrell got the fuck out in time. And of course we finally got confirmation of R+L=J. The important question is how this will play out. Presumably Bran will meet up with Jon or Daenerys or both, and he'll fill them in, and that will be the basis of some kind of alliance between the two. Also, does the fact that Jon is now the king in the North mean that he will be legitimized as Jon Stark? And what's Littlefinger going to do now? He still has Robb and Aaron in his pocket, so he could probably manipulate him into doing some kind of fucked up shit. And did Littlefinger send the pink letter? We didn't get confirmation either way on that, and maybe we never will now. It was quite satisfying to see Jon Snow, who, because he was a bastard who was hated by his stepmother and who was treated like dirt and forced to take the black, become elevated to King of the North. I'm looking forward to the first episode of the next season when Daenerys hopefully arrives on the shores of Westeros. She has what is probably the biggest military force in the world right now. She has the Dothraki, the Unsullied, a significant portion of the Iron Islands Navy. Varys hooked her up with whatever the Dornish have, and perhaps most formidably, she has the Queen of Thorns and the Tyrell army. I'm also looking forward to Daenerys eventually meeting up with Jon Snow and the Northmen. Perhaps Littlefinger will have an opportunity to try to undermine Jon by engineering a confrontation between the two of them. Another possibility is that Littlefinger will try to ally himself with Cersei again, given that she has nothing to lose now and is probably motivated by nothing but revenge. She might be pissed that he snuck Sansa out of King's Landing after Joffrey died, but at the same time he also gave her to the Boltons, so who knows. I didn't expect Sam to actually go to the Citadel to do the Maester training, given that women and children aren't allowed there and given that he has a Valyrian steel sword. Where's he gonna use that? I suppose we can expect him to uncover something important in all of those books. A few people speculate that maybe Rhaegar and Lyanna actually got married before Jon Snow was born, which would make him the legitimate heir to the throne. Perhaps there's a record of that and Sam will stumble upon that information. And a lot of people, including me at first, thought it was weird that Varys was in Sunspear negotiating with the Sand Snakes, then you see him on the ship with Daenerys. It seemed as though he went to Sunspear, then back to Meereen in an unrealistically short time period. However, if you look at a map, you can see that Sunspear is on the way from Meereen to King's Landing. It could very easily be the case that Daenerys made a pit stop in Dorne where she picked up Varys. And when we see them on the ship together, they're on their way up the narrow sea to King's Landing. So yeah, that's Season 6 of Game of Thrones. It was awesome. The finale was probably my favorite episode of any television show ever.